Chapter 7. Dear You. Today I had one of those rare days when I had you to myself for almost an hour. It all felt so wonderful. We were sitting there on that old bench in the middle of the school garden, and we have each other to ourselves. It was late in the afternoon. I just got out of my class when I spotted you there, sitting all alone. I couldn't help but join you in your little moment there. Your face flashed into a smile as you saw me walking closer. And you didn't object to me sitting beside you. It took me some time before I could finally come up with a question, asking you how you have been these days. And you said that you were okay, and you smiled a little. Yet I was not convinced when I see that your usual smile doesn't reach your eyes. And I know something is wrong, that you were not okay. Yet you still got us into talking. You talk about your upcoming graduation and how you felt about it. You said it was surreal. You said it's like a big surprise, but at the same time, it's not. You expect it. It's going to happen soon. But it will hit you in between realization that you're not young anymore, and you are on the edge of reaching a certain end before you begin another. You said graduating college feels like a blink of one's eyes. 4 years ago, you were all afraid of how you're going to be, of how you'll turn out. And in just a couple of days, you'll walk up that stage with a diploma in your hand. You said you couldn't be happier. And I couldn't even be more proud of you. I almost said it, but our conversation turns into another. About the plans, what you want to do in the future. I didn't have the bravery to ask you if you would give me the chance to see them with me. I wanted so badly to talk about us, Jewel. About what we could be. About what would happen if you give me a chance and the possibility of becoming something more. But the sad look in your eyes gave it all away for me. I know in that time, I wouldn't have the slightest chance. We were silent for a long time, until I had to leave you for a while and go pick a rose from a bunch of them that were planted in the backyard. And by the time I got there, they were gnarled at their sticks, red and lush, beautiful at their thorns. They smelled wonderful, and I carefully picked one from its root. And I went back to the bench. I sort of debated if I should give it to you, but I went over and did it. I gave you the rose. Your eyes look out to me in surprise, and I feel stupid about myself when you stare at the rose a little longer. My chest starts feeling heavy. Watching your face went red and shyness. You stretch out your hand and enclose it within yours. Its soft leaves brushing through your knuckles. Thank you. I remembered you whispering, smiling a little. You then told me I shouldn't have. But I said I liked giving it to you, and I was surprised by my own words. I'm better at writing things than saying them out loud, but in that afternoon, I felt the strength and the liberty of saying what I wanted to say. You didn't look at me. I wish you had looked at me, Jewel, and see that what I'm feeling is more than just a likeness. You stayed silent. I guess you were thinking about it or about something, about your past, just holding the rose. I wish you'd say something. Wish you'd tell me if you like it or not. But you said nothing. And at that time then that I fully realized that not all silence means yes, They could also mean many things, such as I know. You sort of steered in your seat, and later you said you need to go, telling me you'll see me around. I agreed. I watched you leap up from the bench and like the usual. I watched you walk away, just like the old times. But this time, it was different. It was never the same with how the way you bid me goodbyes in between classes. This time it was different, as you left the rose on the bench next to me. I don't know why I'm retelling you this, but I felt that I have to let it out. I kept that rose jewel. I put it next to this letter. I know soon it will die, it will fade. A similar reminder for me from that day of the truth. I understand it. I got what you wanted to say that words can tell. This rose being with me speaks more than your silence. They say that roses are red and violets are blue. But this I tell you, roses are red, violets are blue. I gave them to you, and leaving them to me is the most painful clue. Sincerely, me. Jewel flipped the letters close and turned her side around the same garden where she and Philip had the same moment in the letter. She was back here, a little too weary, a little too deep in the past, a little too late. She can't help but think of the irony of things playing out in front of her. Reading the letter where it first existed, she bit her lower lip, fighting not to cry a little once again. Philip's words replaying back in her like that of a broken record that belonged to the past. She tucked the letter within her lap as she left her left hand roam through the empty space beside her, feeling the roughness of the unoccupied space. The same space where Philip sat beside her 10 years ago. It is still the same bench, but it seemed that it had been painted over and over again over the past years. All she has to do was close her eyes, relive everything from that moment, and in a blink of an eye, she'll be there in the same summer afternoon of March. And she was there, with him. She remembered the glow on Philip's eyes when he gave her the roses, and the love growing out from them when she reached out to hold it. He was so beautiful back then, it hurts. Yet she knew she can't accept it, for it was too much for her to keep, as it deservingly could belong to someone else, someone better. She was not for him, so she believed, at the time, that she was a disaster and he was a masterpiece at work. She can't let her and her broken heart ruin him. His love, so beautiful, it shines out for her that she couldn't shine for herself. She can't be unfair to Philip or to the idea of love itself. And she can't say yes when she has to say no, in the hope of saving his heart from being broken too. I can't do this, Philip, she said, as if in a dream he was beside her, sitting still. Suddenly she was 10 years back in the same memory. I can't make you love me when I can't love myself. You belong to someone else, someone right for you. I'm sure I'm not it. If she has to compare the two of them, Philip was a beautiful rose, and she was once too, but sadly they have to grow exquisitely on a different garden. She knows back then she can't let him feel her thorns. He's so pure, so good, she can't mess it up and lead him to where he might end up hurting too. She wished she had expressed all of this just as easily as one thinks, but she didn't. She was a coward, a young girl caught up in the broken promise of another, which made her leave that rose behind him that afternoon and walk away. She could distinctively relive the moment, feel the same air that surrounded them, and then at last, in a heartbeat, she opened her eyes, the years fading just as easily as the memories, and she was back in the present, and she was still here, but he was gone. A milkshake for your thought? She looks up and smiled as Nathan stood in front of her, handing her a cup of milkshake. He was still in his jersey. His sweat came clean through his skin. She take a better look at him in this brief moment. He must be 18. Thanks, she said. He sat beside her. She takes a first sip on the milkshake, giving him a side glance. How's your face? Oh, it's still pretty. He teases, and they both laugh. It sure still is. He took a long sip and cast her a glance. I have to tell you, Miss Jewel, I didn't expect my afternoon to turn out like this, with you being here. He gave her a loop-sided smile. It's surreal. I was just reading about you months ago and wondering where in the world you are, how you have been. The next thing I know, you're here. And you're real. He nods attentively. Surreal. Yep, that's the best word to put it. What, like I'm a fictional character that has come alive? She suggested with a laugh. He nods gleefully. Exactly. He puts his hand up in a gesture of surrendering. No offense, ma'am, but you really are a fictional character I thought only existed in the pages. He laughs again, his face showing a goofy grin. You were everything he describes you to be. She smirks. I guess he really is a good writer. He was, and he is. Nathan agreed. I'm actually envious of the guy. Wish I could write as detailed as that. Well, you could. It comes with practice. She commented, remembering how Philip said the same thing on the first day they met, and how one could efficiently write under pressure and create something in the pages. He once told me it requires a lot of reading, and if you're not reading, then you should be writing. Nathan nodded firmly. Exactly. She smiles and shrugs the memory off. She shakes a drink in a habit to make the ice melt easier. So, have you read the letters? Yes, but not most of it. I don't know. I feel like taking away something that's not for me, if ever I read them all. They weren't written for me in the first place, so I didn't bother to be nosy. I see. But I figured out later that if this letters really belongs to someone, I had to somewhere get in there, you know? see if I could find you. And I did. Yes, but how? Jewel size. I guess you know that's the exact reason why I'm here. He held her there. I know. He sips thoughtfully again, and Jewel embraces herself for his words. And so he begins. I was in the library 3 months ago, pretending to read, just to pass the time before my next class. I went up section. I find myself in the classics, and there was an old atlas there, and I pulled it out. Read a little, nothing interesting that I already didn't know. Jewel nods. So he doesn't know Philip, that's for sure. She ducks her head in disappointment upon realizing, but she looks back up again later, still listening. So I had to push some books away, and when I did, Philip's letter fell down my feet. I thought of putting it back, but I already got into the first page, and well, I can't stop reading. I can't put it back in because I don't know. It just felt right not to put it back in, if you know what I mean. He inhales a deep sigh, his brows furrowing, as if accessing the memory of the day. When I see that it's not stamped by the library, I know I have to take it home with me. So I could find a way to get it to you, even though I don't know if you're still existing. Well, you get it. He thoughtfully licks his lips. Actually, I got it with me without anyone noticing. She laughs and looks around. Very smooth. She tilts her head, amused. Thank you, he replied. Anyway, it also happened that I'm also a literature major just like him. So I guess that explains the connection with letters and prose. Her brows raises in surprise. Really? I know. I know. I don't look like it. I know. I know. He said. Anyway, as I was saying, I went home and I only stopped reading it when finally he gave you a name. But the downside is he only mentioned your name, not your whole name. So I have to go on great lengths to find you. She nods, allowing him to continue. Well, not really great lengths, but I went the old school way. Yearbooks. It took me some conversations with the librarians before I had the access to your yearbook. And the next thing I know, I'm already Googling you and found your clinic and sent you the letters. He shakes his hand funnily. And voila, there you have me. He chuckled. And you're welcome. A smile formed up in Jewel's lips. Thank you, Nathan. Really. Her voice lowers down in emotion. She looks around the garden, a sudden nostalgia invading her chest. 2 days ago, I thought I had a life going for me. But when I received those letters, it suddenly felt like I still have more to figure out. And without you sending me those letters, I wouldn't know what I've possibly missed knowing. She pauses. Philip's brown eyes returns in her reverie. What I've possibly missed from losing. Nathan's voice suddenly hovers low. But you know that he likes you back then, right? He asked. I mean, it's no secret, even to you. I know, she answered, suddenly contorted with guilt and regret. I didn't read everything, Miss Jewel, so I didn't know everything. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to know what happened. She lets her eye wander beyond the court, the university, the fading afternoon sunlight hovering softly. And a deep sigh, she said, it's a long story. Nathan nods. I'm sure it is. Maybe that's the reason why I wasn't with him. She swallowed a lump in her throat. He's too good for me. They both fell into silence after that, and she was grateful for it. The past isn't something you want to revisit when you know you're the reason why it went downhill. And most especially, when reminded, it's not something you want to relive when the years and chances has escaped you. But you know, Miss Jewel, I'm wondering. Nathan prompts later, breaking the silence. If these letters are important to Philip, or rather, if you really mean that special to him, why didn't he keep them? Why leave it on a library where 1,000 others can find it? He heaves an intrigued sigh. Why not keep it to himself? She winces at the idea, realizing he was making sense. I hadn't thought of that one. She turned to him. Honestly, why hadn't I thought of that? They went back to being silent, and Nathan's probably thinking of the answers for these questions, just as she was. There's a few obvious reasons why Philip would leave the letters in a public place like the library. But why? Why there? He maybe misplaced it, or intentionally leave it behind to forget forever, given how she walked away from that afternoon. Maybe he doesn't want them anymore, but he could just have burned it, shredded possibly. But why the library? Why, of all places in the university, the library? Why not send it to her after his graduation? She sighs, just as Nathan thoughtfully sips through his drink. She knew the answers to this can be found within the letters, explicitly implied. Yet she feels there's still more out there in the void, but out beyond her reach. Later, to her surprise, Nathan stands up, a dreamy expression on his face. Maybe he wants to be found, he whispered. Jewel's heartbeat skip on the idea, as Nathan continues. We don't know. Maybe he wants to leave his letters to destiny, test its possibilities, and let them find its way to you one day. He fidgeted on his feet, giddily. What if he wants to see if they can find you and his voice falters in wonder. And what if he finds you? I mean, what if he wants you to find him? She exhales a sigh of nervousness. Nathan, you can't be serious. I'm just saying. He sits back beside her, his face turned to her. What if this, all of this, is intended to make you close something you left unopened before? I honestly don't know what you're talking about. She replied with a quiver in her voice. She knows what he is talking about. Her heart's just too afraid to give it more room to grow. Out of regret, guilt, and longing. Out of thinking she'd already run out of chances. I don't think you've dragged yourself here not to know what I'm talking about, Miss Jewel, Nathan whispered. She slumps on her seat. Okay, I got it, all right. I got it. But what if I do it? What if I find him? What if he doesn't want to talk to me anymore? She asked. What if he has already forgotten about me or his feelings for me? What would he think of me just coming out of nowhere, telling him I've finally read his letters and tell him I'm ready? 10 years later. Saying this stung a piece in her heart as she shakes her head. I don't think it'll be a good idea, Nathan. It'll be a mess. I would be a mess. No, I can't. It's too much. I'm sorry, I went too far. He said, pursing his lips. But again, I'm just saying, I think you have another chance to get on with it. But him, I don't think you would like to live the next years of your life asking this what ifs to yourself over and over again when you could, actually answer them by reconnecting with him. If he doesn't feel the same way anymore, then great. Heartbreak for you, good for him for moving on. But at least you're not, how do I say it? You're no longer wondering. He was right. Nathan's right. It wouldn't hurt to know, but at the same time, she knew it would. You lost a chance before, Miss Jewel, he says. Now it is here once again in your hands. And I don't want to let it pass by you again. With a firm shrug, she knew he's done. Jewel stared at Nathan. He was so young, so full of hope, so determined, so altruistic. She wishes she could have his guts, given how this is the first time she've met him. And everything he's saying is actually making sense. He has a point, one pure, absolute, useful point that her mind can simply just dismiss. The chance of revisiting it all once again. The chance to answer Philip's letter 10 years too late. She sadly shakes her head at the consequences growing in her thoughts. He's long gone, Nathan. I can't find him anywhere online. I didn't know anyone today that could link me to him. If I do this, I'll be starting with nothing. No, you're not. He reassuringly touched a hand to her shoulder. You already have me, remember? We're already here. You, me, and his letters. What's so hard about it? Oh no, Nathan. I can't tag you in any of this furthermore. I insist, Ate Jewel. He firmly said. I'm serious and I'm not taking no for an answer. I found your letters. You wouldn't even know they exist if it not for me, so no. You can't remove me from everything that this will be. We'll find him. I'll help you. She exasperatedly puffs out a breath. What? You're going to skip school and be what? A 30-year-old woman's aide in finding her the one that got away? She met his stares, hers apologizing. I'm thankful, Nathan. I really am. But please, no. You need to be here in school. To her surprise, he burst into a laughter, and she wonders all of a sudden what is funny with what she had just said. Sooner, the familiar gleam of mockery in his brown eyes earlier returned. So was the crook grin on his lips. Is it skipping if I'm already exempted from attending? He said. She frowns. Now she's confused. What do you mean? He stands up once again, abandoned the empty cup, and stretches his hand out to her. Come, he asked. I'll show you something. Jewel can't believe her eyes until she, for the fifth time, read Nathan's name on the list, seeing him on top of it. They are in the school hallway. It's near twilight already. She turns to him in surprise. You're a magna cum laude? A candidate. He humbly corrected her. That list is not final yet. It can change as soon as the final exam kicks in. The way I figured it, I could still be on the top, or the second, or the third. Either way, that works fine with me. Nathan. She steps back away from the board, surprised. This is amazing. Why are you so surprised? He jest. Don't I look like it? She shrugs. Well, I don't want to be mean, but yeah, kind of. Kind of. What does that supposed to mean? I mean, come on, look at you. You're sporty, you're young. Well, you probably have a dozen of girls lining up just to get your attention. I don't know, you gave up this vibe that you're the next hot thing. Probably your team's MVP. And now you're telling me that you're a candidate for being the top student. She shrugs once again. Kinda hard to tell. Nathan seems to find this amusing. May I just say, you're doing me a great deal by letting me experience a classic stereotyping. He said, I'm thankful. I'm sorry, but I mean, well, you're good. This is good. Amazing, even. Your parents must be so proud. Yeah, I hope they are. He points his finger up the ceiling. Up there. His voice lowered a bit, a sudden cloud of sadness creeping into his eyes. When she realizes, her face hung in sadness. I'm sorry. She knows loss when she sees one, and it's not an easy thing to revisit at all times. It's okay. His face smoothens up a bit, bringing back to her the same altruistic Nathan she is with earlier. He inhales a deep sigh. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you, Miss Jewel. And Philip. Now that you've seen this thing, now you know that I won't be skipping any classes. And I'm good to help you with all of this. I'm actually just waiting around to graduate. And sure, there are minor classes, but they're all tutorials. You know how it gets around here. Between the spaces within them, he reached out a hand to touch her shoulder. Please, let me help you with this, Miss Jewel. I don't think I'd ever get this out of my mind if I let you go today and didn't do one thing other than send these letters to you. Her heart went over with his kindness. He doesn't need to be. But seeing him in this light, since knowing him earlier today, made her realize this is what he is. A kind, beautiful human being. I'll think about it, she finally says. He grins as if already knowing her answer. I'll take that as a yes.